going on, Jerome's Minnesota Vikings Training Camp has already had 4 practices in the books. Today, Monday, putting the pads on, first of 11 padded practices. So now the heat really gets turned up. It's August. Football's almost back, baby. So here we have loose. Minnesota Vikings Training Camp thoughts. It's basically, like when writers do notebooks and then just scribble down a bunch of stuff. That's basically this, because they're not really... there's no theme. They're just thoughts that we want to get off our chesticles. So first up, the camp has a loose energy. So again, going with the loose theme, I just think, yeah, maybe it is a little bit of an old school versus new school mentality. It does seem like some of the younger head coaches in the league are a little bit more hands-off. Practices flow a little bit smoother. But I think the entire offseason, I think that the players have really bought into Kevin O'Connell's system. And also I think that the attitudes of how the building is have greatly changed. The whole fear-driven organization, I think that's flipped the script. I think a lot of the players, especially veterans, are a little bit rejuvenated. And I think that the Vikings really have a chance to do something damn good this year, especially where Kevin O'Connell, he could have opened camp up a week earlier than he did because he's a first-time head coach. He didn't, and there's only going to be 11 padded practices versus the maximum 16. So I think Kevin O'Connell respects the players. He respects their time. Everything is snappy, and everything... when you're here, there's going to be a purpose, but expectations are clearly designed, and we're not just going to grind you into dust just to do that. I think that O'Connell it comes at it from a player's perspective. He's a quarterback in the league for a handful of years, and he understands, like, hey, especially dog days of training camp, man, it can be a little bit tough, getting this thing going, getting back into the swing of things. And I think that the Vikings do have a good plan. I think O'Connell is having a really nice start to his first training camp, even though no filming, even though that only precipitated more filming. Anyways, number 2, quarterback 2 battle is real and legit. So, Kellen Mond, last year's third-round pick, number 66 overall, the Pride of Texas A&M, up against the legendary backup Sean Mannion. So our thoughts on Sean Mannion are known. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like a good dude in the quarterback room, as talked about by Kirk Cousins. I think that he could be a future head coach. You see a lot of NFL head coaches, even college head coaches with former quarterbacks in the league, or at least high-level college football, because, generally, those guys are going to be backups, and generally they have to know every single nuance of the offense and every single nuance of the game to be able to just squeeze out every little drop of talent, as opposed to Brett Favre, who didn't even know what the nickel defense was until, year 4? Then Ty Detmer told him. It's kind of crazy, man. But, the Vikings have rotated QB2 day by day as opposed to rep by rep or drill by drill. So day 1, it was Mannion. Day 2, it was Kellen Mond, or vice versa, whatever. It's going back and forth. Now, today, Monday, is due to be Kellen Mond's QB2 day. And since the Vikings are going to have the pads on, it's going to be full contact. Kevin O'Connell said when the pads are on, it's going to be live. I actually think that Mond has a bit of an advantage here. Now, obviously, wearing the red jerseys, there's not going to be contact. So I'm not talking about in that regard. But once there's actually chaos going on, once you're not going at walkthrough speed, once guys are clanging and banging into each other, that's when training takes over. That's when instinct takes over. I think Kellen Mond obviously is a better improviser than Sean Mannion, and I think that him making a couple big-time throws when there's chaos involved as opposed to just walk-through speed, I think that's where the difference could be. And especially once they get to preseason and the lights are bright and they're just chucking things all over the yard, I think that's where Kellen Mond is going to make some hay there, and I still think that he's going to end up being QB2, backing up Cousins. Number 3, loose thought. Cornerbacks are thriving, man. So Cameron Tiny Dantzler is quietly having himself a fantastic training camp. He low-key had a very solid 2021 after he got on the field after that whole drama, with Shaw Breeland earlier in the season, and then Dantzler putting out that tweet, tired of biting my tongue, for real. Whatever. But Dantzler, he's got the length. He's had some good size. He certainly has the frame to be able to pack on some muscle. And just another year with Patrick Peterson, just soaking up all that knowledge and tutelage from a future Hall of Famer. Plus, Ed Donatel, the new defensive coordinator, he does have a defensive background. So he is going to be that guy who sees things from a cornerback's point of view and is going to scheme his defense that way. Plus, that pass rush is going to be prodigious. Plus, they're actually going to be able to stop the run. Because, hey, being a cornerback on 3rd and 9 is a lot different than being cornerback on 3rd and 4. Like the margin for error is a lot wider there. So Cameron Dantzler's having a great camp already. Andrew Booth Jr. The thing I love about Andrew Booth Jr., we love in the draft process, is that all of his scouting reports, he's an absolute dog. He absolutely gets after it. He's absolutely feisty. And him, getting in the face of Amir Smith-Marset, just going at it. I love it. I absolutely love and adore that attitude coming into training camp. It's like, yes, they're your teammates. No, you don't want to fight your teammates. But do you want to get some juice? Do you want to get some competitive juices flowing? Absolutely, man. And Patrick Peterson, he's looking good for his age, and I think that the Shadon Sullivan's looking good in the slot, so I think the Vikings have a chance to be really going from worst to first in the cornerback department. Next up, loose thought number 4, Jefferson is ready to starship. So speaking of the stars, even though training camp, you're always talking about the bottom of the roster guys. You're talking about the practice squad guys. And that's just how it is, right? I mean, you look at Hard Knocks. They don't really focus on the stars. They always focus on the marginal guys. But, I mean, Justin Jefferson, it may be modest, him saying that he's the number 2 receiver in the league. I really think so. Plus, the fact that he has broken so many records, 1,400 yards as a rookie, the only player to have over 3K yards in his first 2 seasons receiving. The fact that he's done all that in a run-first offense, in a Mike Zimmer 1920s Charleston offense. Also, the media hates on Kirk Cousins. So the fact that he's doing all that with Kirky boy throwing him the ball, it's amazing, man. And just imagine what Kevin O'Connell is going to do with Justin Jefferson, what Wes Phillips is going to do with Justin Jefferson. They're going to get him the ball no matter what. And Justin Jefferson is time for him to fly. That's right. I think by the bye week 7, I think the National Jabroni haircuts be like, yeah, Jefferson's wide receiver 1. That's not even close. Not even close. So we're talking about MVP. We're talking about flirting with 2K. Let's get it, baby. Next up. Loose thought number 5, Cameron Bynum is battling, man. All right, so Bynum has been running with the ones ahead of rookie Lewis Cine. Now, they have been running a lot of 3 safety looks, as Ed Donatel and Kevin O'Connell had talked about. So they're going to be incorporating the rookie as well as Cameron Bynum. He's too good to take off the field. I mean, last year filling in for Harrison Smith, he did really well, but he's being tested. Of course, his first time as a potential full-time starter, going up against Jefferson, going up against Thielen in coverage. It's going to be tough, and he had some lows on Saturday. He also had some highs. He had a red zone pick of Kirk Cousins, but Bynum, I just love his attitude, man. Like, maybe he's not as verbose as a Booth Jr., but he's a guy that's got that quiet confidence, quiet swagger. He's going to go get it done. And, yeah, I'm a really big Cameron Bynum fan. Next up, loose thought number 6. Right guard is Jesse Davis's spot to lose. So the interior offensive line competition as of right now. So left to right, it's going to be Ezra. He cemented his spot. Bradbury, I think he's like 85% to start week 1. Actually, might be 95%. Hell, might be 100. And then Jesse Davis. So Jesse Davis had been rotating in with Chris Reed during OTAs for the starting right guard spot, and then mini camp he took over the most majority of them, and Jesse Davis started out training camp as the starting right guard. Now, he missed Friday's practice. Chris Reed stepped in that day, but he was back on Saturday. He had a sleeve on his right knee, I believe, but hopefully that's something minor. And again, we can't say tweak, even though it's the perfect phrase for a small injury, but it's been bastardized, and we lost that one. Anyway, but Jesse Davis, Jesse Davis, guard at Miami, decent. Tackle at Miami, piss poor. No bueno, right? But Jesse Davis is going to be that guy. Also, a rookie at Ingram. He got sprinkled in a couple of first-team reps on Friday, with Chris Reed at right guard, so that's something to look out for. Plus, Ingram has been working almost exclusively at second-team right guard. Chris Reed has been second-team left guard. Austin Schlottman, second-team center. Wyatt Davis and also our guy Kyle Hinton have not cracked above third team, so that can be unfortunate there. Next up, loose thought number 7. Myron Mitchell season. Yeah, the former UDFA out of UAB. That's a lot of acronyms, but he has really stepped up and has been impressive. So the Vikings obviously have a great wide receiver core. You got Jefferson, you got Thielen, you got KJ, and then you got everyone else sort of battling. You got ISM in the mix. You have BC Johnson coming back from the ACL hungry. You got Albert Wilson, the veteran free agent signee, and then you got Myron Mitchell. Then you got Jalen Naylor, the rookie Speedy out of Michigan State. You got Tristan Jackson in that mix. You got Austin Prohl when he's going to be off pup. You got Diamond Dan Chisena. But Myron Mitchell, I mean, just strictly from watching like the team VEN highlights, like he looks good. Like he looks sharp. Where, obviously this is a bit of a bias and a bit of cognitive dissonance, but he kind of looks like Stephon Diggs, like coming in and out of his breaks, the patience which he runs routes, his ability to show the quarterback his numbers and get open. I really like Myron Mitchell. The more and more I think about it, even went back and looked at some of his UAB tape, man. So I think that he could have a chance. Maybe not 53, but certainly practice squad and then go from there. I think he's had, frankly, he's quietly had one of the better training camps of some of the young players. Next up, number 8, Chaz Surratt and Wyatt Davis gone. Now, both of them third-round picks. Last year, remember, the Vikings had 4 third-round picks last season. Chaz Surratt, Kellen Mond, Wyatt Davis, as well as Patrick Jones second. Now, Kellen Mond and Patrick Jones second are getting the time of day, but Chaz Surratt just seems lost, not lost on the field, but he seems lost in the ether in terms of the linebacker depth chart because it's Kendricks and Hicks. Hicks missed a couple days due to illness, and in his place is Troy Dye, and then also working with the second team was Blake Lynch and Brian Asamoah, the rookie. Chaz Surratt hasn't really gotten out there. So it could be a player caught up in a regime change where they just don't get the time of day. It's possible. Same thing with Wyatt Davis, like I mentioned. Also, we talked about in an earlier video, he hasn't cracked third team, above third team yet. So it may just be a numbers game. And we also highlighted maybe Wyatt Davis could be a trade candidate. Maybe Chaz Surratt could be a trade candidate. You never know. Next up, loose slot number 9. Armand for Watts holding defensive end down. So when the Vikings start out first team defense during the offseason, from left to right, or right to left, whatever. Diesel, Dalvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips on the nose, and then Armand for Watts. Where Armand Watts had been a nose tackle for the Vikings when they ran a 4-3. Had been doing really well, especially last season, had 5 sacks, but he slimmed down. He lost about 20 pounds, and now he's playing that 5-tech spot. He's still got that strength. He's still got a very solid first step. I think that he's an underrated pass rusher, so I think that he has a chance to be a really nice player. Also, just in time, because he's in a contract year. So I think that he may have greatly benefited from scheme change. Even though he's changing positions, I think he's really buying in, and it's going to be impressive. Lastly, loose thought number 10, Vikings training camp so far. So the punt return competition. I do think that it's going to be ISM's competition to lose, even though you do have the veteran Burt Wilson, as well as rookie Jalen Naylor mixed in there. I do think that Amir Smith-Marset, I think that he has enough game-breaking ability. I think that if he shows well the rest of training camp, as well as especially in preseason, I think that he could eventually win that job, as well as potentially even being the Vikings wide receiver 4 coming out of training camp. But that's it. That's 10 loose thoughts on the Minnesota Vikings training camp so far. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts. What are some loose thoughts that you got? Let us know in the comment section. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.